Welcome to Shatter.
Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories. No romance, no intimacy, she said with a shrug, like I was behind on payments. We were sitting at the kitchen island. Tuesday night. Cheap wine, reheated pasta, and that cold tone she used when she wanted to make a point without sounding mean. She pushed her plate forward like she was done with both the food and the conversation. You've just stopped trying, she said, scrolling through her phone with one hand, the other swirling the wine glass like it meant something. We don't go out anymore. You don't surprise me. It's like routine. I asked her what she meant exactly. I knew the answer, but I needed to hear it. She looked up. No hesitation. Look, she said, I'm not saying I don't want us to be close. I'm just saying, if there's no romance, there's no intimacy. That's just how I'm wired. She smiled like she was being fair. Like this was logical, a reasonable boundary. But it didn't feel reasonable. It felt like I was making monthly installments just to be loved. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask why lighting candles or booking a weekend trip was the price of her affection. Instead, I just sat there, listening, feeling the words settle like bricks on my chest. She poured herself another glass. Not for me. Just hers. The pause between us stretched long and cold. She started scrolling again. That's when it hit me. I wasn't her partner anymore. I was a subscriber. And I was overdue. I cleared my plate, rinsed it under the faucet. She didn't look up. That's when the first fracture inside me formed. It wasn't the lack of affection. It was the fact that she'd turned something sacred into leverage. She wanted performance, effort, surprises. She wanted proof of value before delivering warmth. Like love was a transaction. And I was failing to deliver ROI. And still, no fight. No door slammed. No insult thrown. I went upstairs, showered, laid down next to her. Her back turned to me, as usual. She fell asleep fast. I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling. Not angry. Not even sad. Just done. If she wanted to turn love into a reward system, fine. But starting now, there'd be no more points to earn. Because I wasn't playing. Not anymore. I didn't announce anything. That would have given her control. Instead, I started withdrawing the currency she valued most, my attention. The next morning, I skipped the coffee I usually made for her. Didn't say good morning. Didn't ask how she slept. She glanced up from her phone, waiting for routine. It didn't come. No coldness. No cruelty. Just silence. That was the first chargeback. A quiet reversal of everything I'd been giving without return. That day, I didn't send her a text at lunch. Didn't ask if she wanted dinner together. I came home, reheated leftovers for myself, ate in front of the TV, and went to bed without a word. She noticed. I saw it in the slight hesitation when she came into the bedroom and saw me already under the covers, facing the wall. 2 days later, she tried to play it off. Are you okay? You've been a little distant. I looked at her. Calm. Steady. Just tired, I said. Nothing more. She smiled nervously, like she wanted to believe that. She didn't. And I didn't give her anything else to work with. Every small gesture I used to give gone. No spontaneous hugs in the hallway. No, you look great compliments before she left for work. No random flowers just because it was Tuesday. If she wanted love to be earned, I stopped applying. She expected friction. An argument. A late night, let's talk. But silence is more terrifying than rage. Silence makes people question themselves. And I let her sit in that vacuum. Day by day, I became the ghost in my own marriage. Still present. Still polite. But emotionally, I had already packed up. She started watching me, lingering in doorways, trying to read my face. But I gave her nothing. The more effort she expected, the less I gave. I became the mirror she couldn't manipulate. And she hated that. Because when someone builds a relationship on validation, the absence of attention feels like punishment, even when it's not. That week, she wore perfume to bed, something she hadn't done in months. Slipped into silk instead of her usual t-shirt. I didn't react. She lay beside me like bait in a trap. But I wasn't hunting anymore. I turned off the light, rolled over, and let her sit there in the dark, wondering when I stopped trying. The truth? It was the moment she made love feel like a monthly bill. And I just canceled my subscription. She thought I was pouting. Thought I was being petty, waiting for an apology. But I wasn't angry. I was calculating. See, anger still requires investment. Still means you care enough to react. But I'd already pulled the plug. Now I was just watching the lights go out. The next phase was subtle, but surgical. I moved some of my things into the guest room. No argument. No explanation. Just space. She walked in that night with a towel around her hair and stopped at the doorway. "You're sleeping in here now?" I didn't even look up from my laptop. "Just easier," I said. That was it. She stood there for a second like she was trying to decode me. But there was nothing left to read. In the mornings, I stopped waiting for her to get up. Left the house before she even came downstairs. No coffee. No kiss. No, have a good day. Just keys, jacket, door. At night, I'd come back and go straight to my room. I started cooking for one. Did laundry in small, separate loads. She still hadn't figured it out. That this wasn't a tantrum. This was a strategy. One night, she finally pushed. "You've been cold lately," she said, standing in the kitchen in one of those outfits she used to wear when she actually wanted my attention. "Is something wrong?" I smiled faintly. "Not at all." Then I walked past her. That night, I heard her crying in the shower. Soft. Controlled. Like she didn't want me to hear it. But I did. And I didn't care. She used to hold the thermostat in our relationship, setting the temperature, deciding when things got warm again. But now, the cold came from me. And she had no idea how to thaw it. She started trying harder, but not in the ways that mattered. Fancy dinners. New lingerie. Forced affection. It was desperation in disguise. And I wasn't buying. The cracks were forming. She'd drop a glass and flinch, waiting for me to react. I didn't. She'd ask me something twice, pretending to forget, just to see if I'd get irritated. I didn't. I wasn't playing anymore. I was auditing. Every moment we had was under review. Every word she used to say cross-examined. And I realized I had poured my loyalty into someone who treated love like a vending machine. Push the right buttons, get what you want. But the machine was empty now. She tried one last time. "I feel like I don't know you anymore." I looked her dead in the eyes. "You never did." Then I walked away. And this time, she didn't follow. Validation had always been her currency. She didn't need love. She needed proof. Proof she was still wanted. Still desirable. Still in control. And I used to give it, without limit. The compliments. The attention. The second chances. But now, the account was closed. That's when she changed tactics. Suddenly, her clothes got tighter. Nails done. Makeup flawless, even on Sundays. She started laughing louder on her phone, just within earshot. Once, I walked past the bathroom and heard her giggling. "Yeah, he's just been different lately. Kinda distant." Then silence. Then a chuckle. Like it was all part of the game. But I didn't bite. She wanted me jealous. Wanted me reactive. Wanted me to step back into the role of the needy, loyal husband she could shape at will. Instead, I looked right through her. Every flirtation was met with indifference. Every test failed. By design. One night, she walked into the living room wearing a dress I hadn't seen since our anniversary 2 years ago. She leaned against the doorframe like she was posing for a magazine cover. I was thinking maybe we could go out. Just us. I didn't even pause the movie. "I've got plans," I said flatly. She blinked. "With who?" I shrugged. "Friends." Then I picked up my drink and kept watching. She stood there for a while, waiting for something. An apology. A change of heart. A question. But I gave her nothing. See, the most dangerous man in a relationship isn't the one who yells. It's the one who goes quiet. Because once he stops trying to fix it, he's already halfway out. A few days later, she finally broke the script. We were folding laundry in the same room in silence. She didn't look up when she said it. "Do you still love me?" It landed like a pebble dropped into a frozen lake. No ripples. No cracks. Just ice. I took a beat. Then folded another shirt. "I don't know," I said quietly. "Does it matter?" That was the first time she didn't have an answer. And that silence? It spoke louder than anything she'd said all year. She had spent so long turning love into leverage. She forgot what love without conditions looked like. Forgot what it felt like to not be worshipped, but watched. And now, for the first time, she wasn't the star. She was the shadow. I left the room. She stayed behind, folding towels that didn't matter, still trying to tidy a space that had already been emotionally emptied. And as I walked down the hallway, I felt lighter. Because when someone stops begging for your love, you finally see how little they valued it to begin with. I started going back through the timeline. Not out loud. Not in a fight. Just silently, the way you review a bad investment before you pull your money out. I asked myself, when did this stop being love and start being debt? It wasn't one moment. It was erosion. Little things I ignored. Laughed off. Justified. Like the way she'd say, I just need space. But still expected me to show up with flowers. The way she'd forget every birthday of mine. But get visibly upset when I didn't plan hers 3 weeks in advance. Or how every conversation about us somehow ended up being about her. I thought I was being supportive. That's what good men do, right? Provide, protect, persevere. But the truth is, I wasn't her partner. I was her service provider. And intimacy? That became a subscription. Tiered access. Conditional benefits. Be more romantic, she said once. I asked what that meant. She sent me a link to an expensive dinner reservation and a spa voucher. Dead serious. Like it was a checklist. And when I started pulling away, that's when she noticed. Not because I was gone, but because the perks were. Love shouldn't feel like a loyalty program. You don't earn affection with points. You give it because you want it. Not because someone jumped through enough hoops that week. I remember the last time she said, I love you, without being prompted. It was months ago. Maybe more. And even then, it sounded like an automatic reply. Like one of those email templates, polite, robotic, hollow. Meanwhile, every time she needed something, a payment, a ride, a favor, suddenly I was the most important man in the world. That's when it clicked. She didn't fall out of love. She downgraded me. Still wanted the benefits, just without the emotional labor. So I did what any smart man does. When he realizes the contract's one-sided, I started preparing the exit strategy. No confrontation, no confession, just clarity. I wasn't going to be her safety net anymore. Not her backup plan. Not the fallback guy she could count on, while treating me like the wallpaper in her life. That week, I opened a new bank account. Private. Unlinked. Just a place to start building a version of me that wasn't tied to her expectations. She didn't notice. Not yet. But she would. Because every I love you she used as currency was about to lose its value. And I was no longer accepting returns. By the time she realized something was shifting, I was already halfway out the door, emotionally, mentally, logistically. It started with the money. Subtle at first. I stopped covering extras. The streaming services she loved, canceled. The girls' night Venmos she casually sent from my account, blocked. Her favorite beauty box subscription? Gone. She noticed. Did the card decline again? She asked one afternoon, holding up her phone with a fake laugh expression. I didn't even look up from my laptop. Switch cards, I said. She frowned but didn't push. She thought it was forgetfulness. Or maybe pettiness. It was neither. It was preparation. I started working later. Not really, but that's what I told her. In reality, I'd found a short-term rental across town, a studio above a bakery. Nothing fancy. Just quiet. Just mine. I paid for the first month in full. Furnished it with essentials. Clothes. Laptop. One framed photo of me from college, smiling in a way I hadn't in years. It felt like setting up a life raft while the ship still looked afloat. But I knew better. The water was already at our ankles. Then came the soft conversations. The ones you have with yourself. Is this really happening? Am I ready to walk away? What will I miss? Answer. Less than I feared. The only real question was when. I chose the day carefully. A Saturday morning. The sun was out. No clouds. No drama. She came downstairs wearing one of those oversized sweatshirts she used to borrow from me like it was cute. She sat at the table, scrolling like always. I poured coffee, only for myself. I've decided to take some time, I said. She looked up, confused. For what? For me. Silence. I didn't rush. Didn't explain. She blinked. Like a break. Yeah, I said. A long one. Her mouth opened slightly. Not in protest, just shock. Like she hadn't even considered that I had an off-ramp. That I might use it. She looked at me like I was a stranger. And maybe I was. Because the version of me that begged for affection. That bent over backwards to keep peace. He was gone. I didn't pack that morning. I'd already done it in pieces. A drawer emptied here. A jacket missing there. Quiet edits to a shared life. So when I walked out with one duffel bag slung over my shoulder, there was nothing left to say. She followed me to the door, arms crossed, voice cracking just a little. Is this about us? I paused. It's about me not recognizing myself anymore. Then I stepped outside. No slam door. No parting shot. Just a man unsubscribing from a plan he never agreed to in the first place. It took exactly 48 hours. 48 hours before the silence became too loud. Before the text started. before the cracks in her performance turned into full-blown tremors. At first, it was casual. "Hey, just checking in. Hope you're okay." No punctuation. Just enough warmth to sound harmless. I didn't respond. A few hours later. "I've been thinking about things. Maybe we should talk." Still no reply. Then came the shift. The guilt phase. The classic pivot from confused to concerned to desperate. "I know I haven't been easy to love. I'm not perfect, but neither are you. We both made mistakes." That one made me pause, not out of doubt, but recognition. That was her favorite game. Mutual blame. Level the field. Make it look like two people failed equally, when in reality, only one stopped showing up. Still, I stayed silent. She called. I let it ring. She emailed. I archived it. She messaged me through a mutual friend, asking if I was okay, saying she was worried. Worried? No. She hadn't worried when she withheld affection like it was earned through acts of service. She hadn't worried when she used intimacy as a prize. She hadn't worried when I became a shadow in my own life. But now that I was gone, now she remembered who I was. It was never about love. It was about access to my time, my energy, my reliability, all things she believed would never run out. But I did something she never thought I would. I closed the tab, logged out, shut the system down. The next message came late at night. Desperate, unfiltered. "I don't know who I am without you. Please, let's talk. Just once." I stared at the screen, not with anger, not even with satisfaction, just detachment. Because when someone tries to cash in after years of withdrawal, they realize too late, the account's been closed. There is no refund on neglect, no reimbursement for emotional debt, no grace period after indifference. She thought love was renewable, that all she had to do was say the right thing, and the doors would reopen. But this wasn't a break. This was a shutdown. So I powered off the phone, placed it face down, and went asleep in silence. The kind of silence that isn't empty, but earned. The next time I saw her, it was by accident. Or maybe not. Small cafe on Oak Ridge. A place we used to go back when things were lighter. I was waiting for my espresso, scrolling through headlines. And then I felt it, that pause in the room. I looked up. There she was. Hair done. Subtle makeup. That old coat I once complimented 2 winters ago, like she dug through the archives to find a version of herself I might still want. She hesitated, then walked over. "Hey," she said, soft. "Didn't expect to see you here." I nodded. Calm. Neutral. "Good spot," I replied. She laughed lightly. "It was always your favorite." She emphasized your, like she was reminding me of something we shared. Something she thought I missed. I didn't. She looked at me the way people look at houses they used to live in, trying to spot what's changed. And I gave her nothing to hold on to. No familiar tone. No flicker of old pain. Just presence. "You look different," she said. "I feel different." That landed heavier than she expected. Her smile faltered for half a second. She gestured toward the seat across from me. "Do you mind if I?" I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no. She sat. The conversation was light at first. Safe. Weather. Work. Surface-level updates. Like we were old coworkers who once shared a cubicle, not a bed. Then she shifted. Tried to sell the past. "Remember that trip to Asheville? The cabin." She smiled like the memory had warmth. "It was freezing, but we stayed in bed all day. You said it was the happiest you'd ever been." I sipped my coffee. "Yeah," I said. "That was a good day." She leaned in. "I think we lost something real." Her voice dropped. "But maybe not forever." There it was. The clearance sale. Pushing discounted memories and hoping I'd take the bait. But nostalgia doesn't erase disrespect. And affection without effort is just performance. I set my cup down. "I didn't leave because we had bad moments," I said. "I left because the good ones were no longer enough to survive the weight of everything else." She looked down. Her thumb rubbed the rim of her paper cup like she was trying to ground herself. "I didn't realize how far you'd gone. I didn't walk out the door, Lauren." I faded. Slowly. Quietly. "And you never asked why." She blinked. That name, her full name, it hit different. I used to call her Lo or Honey or nothing at all because love doesn't always need names. Now, it was just a label. A tag. Like marking something no longer in stock. She didn't cry. Didn't beg. But her silence said it all. She knew. I stood. She followed with her eyes, not her body. Didn't try to stop me. As I walked past her, I paused for half a second. Not to offer hope. Not to be cruel. Just to leave her with truth. I became the man I used to be, I said. The one you stopped seeing. And then I left. And this time she didn't chase. After that cafe moment, something shifted permanently, not between us, but inside me. There was no weight left to carry. No guilt. No wondering if I'd done enough. I had. More than enough. But when your worth is only visible in your absence, you learn the most loyal thing you can do is choose yourself. And that's what I did. I rebuilt. Started small. Mornings with no rush. Coffee on the balcony of that little studio apartment. A gym routine I actually looked forward to, not as punishment, but power. I remembered what it felt like to be energized, to sweat for me. I stopped being a caretaker of someone else's emotional void and became the architect of my own space. Weekends weren't filled with obligation anymore. No last-minute errands. No forced brunches with people who didn't know the real version of us. I hiked, drove aimlessly just to hear music loud, grabbed beers with friends who hadn't seen me smile like this in years. They noticed. "Man, you look lighter," one of them said. And I was. Not because I lost someone, but because I stopped carrying someone who never learned how to walk beside me. I traveled solo for the first time. 3 days in Colorado. Just me, the cold air, and the silence, the real kind, not the relationship kind. Not the kind laced with tension and withheld affection, but peace. Earned peace. Some nights I'd think about her. Not in longing. Not in hate. Just in passing. Like a song that used to mean something. Until you finally listen to the lyrics and realize you were never really paying attention. She reached out again once, through a friend. Said she was working on herself. That she was in therapy. That she missed who we used to be. But I wasn't who I used to be. I wasn't looking for redemption. I wasn't waiting for clarity. I wasn't stuck in the past, measuring her pain against mine. That wasn't love. That was survival. And I was finally living. No more proving. No more trying to qualify for affection that came with conditions. I didn't need to be told I was enough. I saw it in the mirror. I heard it in my laugh. I felt it in the silence, the one I chose. Freedom doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives with a slow exhale and a full night's sleep. And for the first time in years, I slept through the night. With no one next to me. And no one weighing me down. The last message came 3 months after I walked away. No emojis. No games. Just raw words. "You were better to me than I deserved. I see that now. I'm sorry." I read it once. Didn't save it. Didn't reply. Just deleted it. Not out of spite. But because the man she was apologizing to, he didn't exist anymore. I wasn't seeking closure. I was living in it. She had turned our marriage into a subscription. Monthly expectations, tiered affection, loyalty billed on autopay. And I'd canceled the plan without notice. Because love isn't earned through perks or transactions. It's sustained by presence, respect, consistency. And when those vanish, so does everything else. I saw her once more. On a quiet street near the park. She was walking alone, head down, earbuds in. Slower than I remembered. Lighter maybe, but not brighter. She didn't see me at first. I was already halfway past her. When her head turned slightly. Just enough for our eyes to meet. 1 second. Maybe less. But it stretched like a final chapter. She stopped walking. I didn't. I gave her a faint smile, not cruel, not cold. Just final. And then I looked forward again. Not back. Never back. Because the most powerful move isn't revenge. It's release. She wanted freedom once. Said she needed space. Said she didn't feel anything anymore. Now she had it. Every inch of it. And she didn't know what to do with it. But me? I knew exactly what to do. I rebuilt. I reclaimed. I remembered. That love is not obligation. That silence can be sacred. That peace isn't found in a partner. It's found in the absence of pretending. I was never hers to control. Only ever mine to reclaim. So I kept walking. Past the memories. Past the weight. Past the final version of a woman who only realized my value when it was no longer available. Because when love becomes conditional, respect becomes optional. And I don't live on terms anymore. I live on truth. No more subscriptions. No more discounts. No more trials. Just the full value of who I am at. Unapologetic, undivided. And finally, unavailable. What would you have done in my place? If the story hit you, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe. It only gets stronger from here.